Hello, people of the party. I'm Ryan from the Hex Bones Tabletop Club, and today I'm going to give out post-mortem of the PrisonTomb of the Mesmer Frog. So the club played this on June 11th, and this quick little dungeon dive is available in the Weird Perspectives Volume 1, available on Drive-Thru RPG. So just a little background. So this is a short adventure that was designed as a one-page dungeon. So it's short and sweet and to the point. We had 2 players, and they each had 2 characters. And beginning to end, it took about 2.5 hours. So this is perfect for a bite-sized session. You know, you need something quick, and you need to run. So before I dive into and dissect it, I've got this cool summer camp-inspired Hex Bones Tabletop Club T-shirt. Let's see right there. It's pretty neat, and that's available in a link down below if you want to support the club. The intention is to use any of the very small profits that come from that to amp up our Discord server. And as always, if you're looking to play some drop-in Dungeon Crawl Classics, or you're just looking to play a few games of DCC, or you're completely brand new to the RPG space, join our Discord with the link below. We're always accepting new people. We've got a pretty good drop-in, drop-out system going. So pop on over and we'll have a lot of fun. And with that all out of the way, we'll get right into this. So if I go down here, kind of scroll through this real quick. So here is the one-page dungeon for the PrisonTomb of the Mesmer Frog. And I started this one out that Chuff Bowman, who is the Master of Arms at Blackrock Lodge, which is where our club, it's our home base in our fantasy world here. It's the home of the Hex and Bones Adventuring Guild. Chuff Bowman has had scouts go out and has found this huge stone. And through local folklore and stuff, he believes that it might be the prison tomb of the Mesmer Frog, who was a mind-controlling frog, and Chuff wants the party to go and retrieve the hide. He's not sure if it's alive or if it's dead, but he believes that the hide or skin, we talked about this and we're not sure whether a frog has a hide or not, but we want the skin because Chuff thinks that it has untamed and wild magic capabilities. So for this session, we had a cleric, a fighter, a wizard, and a dwarf. They were sent out about 9.5 miles to the northeast of the Blackrock Lodge to investigate a potential resting place of the legendary Mesmer Frog. Folklore and local legends say that the Mesmer Frog was entombed ages ago to prevent the Great Frog Doom, in which a 5-foot-tall mind-controlling frog would enslave the population of the area and conquer the lands. Legends also say that the hide of the mind-controlling frog has untamed and wild magic capabilities. Chef Bowman knows about this, and he sends the party out. So we didn't actually hex crawl just with the 2 people we had. We just kind of fast traveled to where the scout had noticed the giant stone slab. And let's roll over to the map here now. So as you can see, this is a one-page dungeon. These are A5 pages, so it'll all fit on one printable page. And you've got a green blurb there. Give as much as you want to. So the party comes up to the large stone slab, as you can see in the image there. That's kind of how the tomb is covered. They come across the stone slab, and it's laid on a mound in a clearing on the outskirts of an uncharted forest. And as they're going through here, they found multiple different artifacts and things like that that would imply that the Mesmer Frog was a respected and almost majestic beast, but was sealed away because of the danger that it could potentially pose to society. So they walked down right into, they just pried the slab open. They had all 4 characters push with all their might, and they moved the slab over enough that they could fit and crawl through. In classic dungeon crawling fashion, one of the players made a mental note that, maybe we should close this thing. If this Mesmer Frog really is, if it's still alive, we don't want it to escape. And the party decided against that because they were worried that if someone were to perish in the tomb, that they might not be able to open the door. And I thought that was a neat thought that they had. So they didn't close it. They left it cracked open. So they go down into room 1, and inside room 1, as you can see on the map here, marked with these P's on the map, there are portcullises on each side. And in the center, there is a stone statue of a frog. About 3.5 foot tall. It's a pretty good sized statue. So essentially, they rotate the frog statue after being afraid of it for a long time, which is rightfully so. One of the players had just played Portal Alone with the Stars for me, and if you watched that video or have played that one, you know that there is a rotating statue there that shoots fire at you. Not happening here. The eyeballs light up, purple eyeballs light up as it's rotating. So the first thing that they did was that they went into area 2 there to the east. They finally rotated the frog statue facing that portcullis, and it opened the portcullis. They walked over, and they saw the purple tapestry at area 2 there. And sorry, it's not a tapestry, it's an old curtain that is covering the length of that southernmost wall in that room. They check that out. They see the mosaic underneath it that is it's a giant frog sitting on a hilltop with a finger pointing out, and it's got blue and purple glowing eyes. And on the hill beneath them is an army full of very capable looking soldiers, and they all have these purple flaming eyes. They're very clearly under the mind control of the Mesmer Frog. And so they check that out. On the opposite side of that, on the other side of that mosaic, it depicts a city being burnt and destroyed. So they check that out. They get a little bit of vibe that, if this thing's still alive, it's probably going to do some kind of mind control trickery on me. So after that, they walk up. We have a dwarf who can smell gold, and it just so happens that there's gold at the bottom of this shallow, it's about a 3-foot deep pool at area 3 there. So they check that out. There are 2 skeletons that are positioned at the bottom of the pool, and if the pool is disturbed, the skeletons will rise up and, roll initiative. We're going to do the stuff. So they saw, I think there were 37 we rolled, and it came up with 37 gold pieces at the bottom, which for these level 1 characters is still, it's a substantial boon for 37. So they took one of the chickens that one of the characters had from surviving the funnel, and chucked the chicken in the water. They were kind of concerned that maybe the water is, will do something to them. As soon as that water is disturbed, the skeletons pop up and their eyes turn bright purple, fiery purple, and they come at them. They roll initiative. The 4 of them have absolutely no problem taking care of these skeletons. They knock them out relatively easy. They scoot around heading east, like at the top of going west. I'm sorry, forget all that. They go west from area 3 all the way down, and see that portcullis they can look through, and they can see that main square room with the frog statue in. So they circle back around, and then they twist the frog statue going towards the west. They move down the west there, and they're very careful. They start to notice slime coating the hallways on the north corridor, or that corridor that heads north, the short corridor there. And like I've said before, these guys have crawled a few dungeons, so they were very careful. They're checking for traps. They're doing everything that you should be doing, and they're role playing really, really well. They go inside room 4 there. Inside room 4, there is a clay statue presumably of the Mesmer Frog, and it's sitting there in the center. It's about 4 foot tall. It's a little bit bigger than the statue that was in the main room with the portcullises, but this one has 2 gigantic, like football-sized rubies in its eyes, and the statue's made completely out of clay. And again, they're very weary of statues. So they concoct a plan that they're going to use. They have some kind of grappling hook on a rope. So they they put the hook under one of the eyes, and all of the characters leave the room, and they give a tug on that rope, and that was enough that the statue just crumbled, and it was hollow. The statue was hollow inside. They could hear everything falling and crumbling, and they decided that they wanted to wait a few minutes and just let things kind of chill out. And as they came around the corner, they noticed that this almost pollen-like substance had exploded in the room, and it was kind of everywhere. The idea being that had they tried to pry those off inside that room, I would have made them make a fortitude save against 1d4 poison damage, which would have been substantial for these level 1 characters, but they were very smart about it. They made sure, and then the pollen had fallen down. They even made sure to run back to the pool, or they had a water skin that was full of water, and they poured that over the gyms afterwards to get any residual of this pollen dust that had collected on the gyms. So that went that went pretty well, and as a DM, I was kind of bummed that they didn't fall for any of these, but these are kind of classic dungeon tropes. I mean, this was designed to be a quick and easy dive, kind of hit some of the dungeon tropes, and the whole time you're hunting this mind-controlling frog. So anyways, they keep going. They go up into room 5, and in room 5, they see just a pile of old skeleton bones. They do not animate. They don't move. They poked around. They searched in here. I think they threw the chicken in again to see if they got any bites. They didn't. They investigated, poked around. The only thing they found in here was that these skulls all had these charred marks on them around their eye sockets, very much like the glowing eyes, the glowing purple eyes of the skeletons that they had pulled up in Area 3 on the map here. So they move up into room 6, and they just keep on cruising here. They move up into room 6, and they see the iron sarcophagus and the lid sitting ajar in the center of the chamber. Now here, it's not actually written here, so as you play this as a judge, this is a one-page dungeon, so you want to get kind of creative with it. So I decided that I was going to add a monk caretaker that had, he had been chosen or he had volunteered. However you want to piece that together, but a monk had volunteered to stay and kind of guide and be the caretaker of this Mesmer Frog, because he was a respected beast as he was locked away. He still had, some clout with this religious group. So they found this this monk. It was just a corpse, really dressed in religious robes, and his arm was kind of hanging like he was reaching inside the sarcophagus. And inside the sarcophagus, there's about 6 inches of this just slime, bile grossness, which would just be kind of just frog slime, really. They were very, very cautious with this. They took the crowbar, and one of the players had a crowbar, and they poked around in there, and they found a set of keys, a key ring that had been the monk caretakers. And from there, they move up into Area 7. They see the double doors that are locked there. They also see the discarded and rusted shackles that are found right just about where the number 7 is, directly in front of those double doors going into the main conflict room of 8 there. These shackles they were designed for a quadrupedal beast, and they have that same slime all over them. They're broken shackles. So now it's become, he was not freed, he escaped. So now that they have the key, as you're running this, it's possible that a player won't want to mess with that slime right away and continue exploring. We used the torchlight rules, so as they were walking down that corridor that runs north to south there, they couldn't see the entire length of it without moving back and forth with their 30-foot torchlight that we play with. So they had the keys, they kick open the door, and there the Mesmer Frog himself is sitting just about where number 8 is. He's sitting there. He has 3 skeletal henchmen that are with him. They all have the glowing purple eyes. And battle. Everyone rolls initiative. They go right into it. They are not going to kill, or they're not going to let this frog get a shot at them. The statue in the first room with the portcullises, the glowing eyes, the statue, the ruby-eyed statue in Area 4, they knew what was going on. I didn't show them any of these images or anything like that. Or perhaps they had seen Futurama, maybe. But they go after the Mesmer Frog. I believe the very first thing that happens is that we have a cleric that just rolls a stellar turn unholy roll, terrifies 2 of the skeletons away, and the other skeleton that continues to make their way over towards them. The dwarf makes quick work of them. They throw one of the spears from across the room at the Mesmer Frog, who is just positioned up at the top of this altar where number 8 is, and he's not really moving all that much. The Mesmer Frog lost initiative, and before he had an opportunity to try to do anything, the skeleton was down there and in melee range, so he got a little piece of them. but the wizard cast in large on one of the fighters, and the fighter ran up and just got a huge hit on the Mesmer Frog, and completely just destroyed it. So as you can see here, if the Mesmer Frog had gotten an opportunity to go, which, you know, in hindsight, maybe I should have pumped up its stats or something like that to at least let it get a shot at trying to hypnotize one of them. But what it'll do, the Mesmer Frog will attempt to mind control them, and the mechanic that I came up for this is that it will just make it'll randomly target one character per round and try to make eye contact to hypnotize it, and they'll get a willpower saving throw against a DC 13. Yes, a DC 13. If they fail, then, you know, they start to get this feeling of almost loyalty towards the Mesmer Frog, and they would suffer -2 to all rolls in combat, every single type of roll, and that would continue to stack if the Mesmer Frog were to look at them over and over and over again. So it could end up being very painful. But the Mesmer Frog itself is not a powerful ally. That's all he does, is try to hypnotize you, which is why we had the skeletons. But the cleric made short work of the skeletons. So a lesson to anyone else, I mean, I've heard it before and I've seen it before, but if you're going to have a cleric in your party, you should probably just double the amount of undead, because a cleric rolling hot can really ruin all your plans. But I think it turned out cool, because it was these adventurers that had come in, and they just completely stomped this dungeon. They cut up the hide, you know, they gutted the Mesmer Frog down there, and they took the skin back, and all was well in the world. Chuff Bowman's happy. They're investigating what they can possibly do with the hide at the Hex and Bones Guild right now. But I think we had a pretty good session. I think it was pretty fun. This was a really straightforward dungeon crawl, and they really went after it. It was a lot of fun, even though as a DM I didn't get to do anything much. But, you know, I'm also the type of judge that, you know, let the dice roll, let them roll. It could have just as easily gone very poorly for them. So anyways, it was a great fun playing with them. Again, if you're into any of this kind of thing, join the Discord down below. We have a scheduler bot that runs. You can RSVP to a game. Everybody that is playing with us now, everybody's they're just cool. It's just a group of cool people. So if you're looking to play, this is a good place to come play. No commitment, anything like that. And hopefully we do silly stuff like this. It was a lot of fun. Not overly challenging, but I think it was a good evening to roll and dice. And now the Hex and Bones Guild has this magical hide of a hypnotizing frog. So that is it, and I will see you around.